Yo, yo, yo. We're coming at you with a late night pod tonight. It is just after 12:15 Central Time, Thursday morning. Typically we do this thing late night, but it's still I think some kids would still be up, but right now we're coming at you guys pretty late with a all draft edition of our podcast. But without further ado, this is the Banana Boat Podcast, back afloat, checking in, barely afloat. It's your host, Michael Smith. Smitty, Marcus, go ahead and tap in.
Hey yo, it's Marcus J. Tapping in from Dallas. Feeling good. It's a late night. Darius already started his vacation, so he's out. I'm going to the Philippines after this, but we got to make sure we bring you guys that good NBA news from the casuals perspective. So we got a lot today, and I'm excited to get to it.
Yes, sir. Well, let's get to it, man. We had the NBA draft, the second round just wrapped up tonight. So we got basically an all draft edition of our pod tonight, like we said. So we're gonna give you guys our winners, our losers, how we're feeling about our team since we know I love to be a homer. We're gonna give our little homer takes on our draft tonight, but then we're also gonna bring back the make them say huh, since we got two-thirds of the squad tonight. We're gonna do no stuff on a boat draft this week. So we will be taking about a 2 week break. So this pod tonight will be our last pod until Sunday, July 12th. So that's about 2.5 weeks from now. So we got Marcus going on a trip. We got Darius, I think, going on a trip. But regardless, we will be back. So if you don't see us for a few weeks, just know we did not leave you. We did not get canceled. We did not cancel ourselves. We will be back on Sunday, July 12th. But again, without further ado, let's get right into it with our winners and our losers of the draft. We're going to start with our winners. And Marcus, mine is the OKC Thunder for my winner. It's a case of the rich getting richer. If anybody else, I feel like had picked Mara. I won't say anybody else because he was pretty high up on a lot of people's draft boards. But
Yeah,
I feel like if the Mavericks drafted him, honestly, I would have been disappointed.
yeah.
If the Hawks drafted him, it kind of would have been like, what are we doing here? But because the Thunder drafted him, it's one of those. I'm trying to think of like the last team who had that kind of run. The only thing I can think of is like the Patriots in the NFL or the Chiefs, kind of what they became, or the Eagles for a few years. It's like, oh well, if this team is drafting him this high, it's a great pick for this team culture, and this team gets everything right. And so I feel like with Mara, there were a few teams within that range that if they picked him, like if the Warriors picked him, it probably would have been like, what are the Warriors doing? Do they still have the magic? But because the Thunder picked him, it gets viewed as, man, the Thunder just do everything right. The Thunder know what they're doing. But then you take a step back and it's like, well, they kind of needed more size. I don't know that another 7'2", 7'3" guy is honestly the best matchup for Wembanyama. It seemed like honestly OG Anunoby was like his kryptonite in the finals. It's almost like Udonis Haslem was for Dirk back in the finals in '06, where you probably need like a strong guy that with a strong base to kind of contain him and then just play help around him. But nonetheless, they still got size. You're still going to need size to compete against the Thunder. And then they went and drafted a guy from Stanford as well, a guard that kind of is going to fill some needs. So I think my winner, just based on that, is the Thunder.
When I was seeing them draft Daymar, it was just like, no way. It was just like, because you were seeing him go to, as go up as high as 8 in the mock draft, and you're like, yeah, Atlanta could use the size and the whole like Wimby stopper. Everyone's gonna need a extra guy and all that kind of stuff. I think it just kind of capitalizes on the moment. Chet getting punked by Wimby. It's like, all right, we're gonna need a extra backline guy for when I Heart is gone and all that kind of stuff. So it was just kind of funny. It was more so a funny thing, and it's more like, all right, the Thunder are gonna get an extra body in there, and this guy is probably not gonna be ready right away. But they said he moves really well. He's a 7 foot 3 footer and all that kind of stuff. So it just seems like it's gonna fit in really well. And then The after I looked at this draft, man, I actually put the Thunder down as losers, and not in a sense of as a team being losers, bro. The real losers of this whole draft was Nikola Topic and Thomas Sorber. If you don't know who those are, uh, it's because they barely played. Nikola Topic was the 12th pick in the 2024 draft, and then Thomas Sorber was the 15th pick in the 2025 draft. And the crazy thing about this is, bro, Nikola Topic tore his ACL. He had testicular cancer. He plays 10 games last season. They trade for Jared McCain, who's another point guard or a shooting guard, or and Nikola Topic is a guy, a guard, and then boom, this draft they get another high IQ guard. Like this dude cannot catch a break. So all I was thinking about was Thomas Sorber and Nikola Topic. Like, where are you guys gonna get your minutes from? You run down that roster. I can't even figure out who the 12 man active roster is going to be. This dude Thomas Sorber tore his ACL before last season. Like, people are always trying to get away from going to the Jazz. Like, I do not want to be going to the OKC because I'm not going to get no clock there.
Yeah. And I misspoke. Corey actually from Stanford, actually that was he was part of a trade. So he's in Detroit. They actually drafted Bennett Sturts from Iowa, who was kind of the
What you think of
guy.
him?
It makes sense. I mean, we
Oh,
said
okay.
going into the offseason that the Thunder needed shooting. I
Uh-huh.
think Jared McCain proved that he can be that
Yeah.
shooter, and he showed up quite a bit. But you can never have enough shooting because I mean they got like I mean um Cason Wallace is not known as a shooter.
Yeah. But he's getting
Arma
better. He's getting more efficient.
he's definitely getting better, but he's not like a knockdown shooter. And I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on Egghead, Elmer
Who?
Fudd. Gosh,
Caruso.
yes, Alex Caruso. Like
Yeah.
he's not a
Who
knockdown
knows?
shooter, but he'll get like hot every now and then. So they needed like another guy that like isn't a hey he plays defense and then sometimes he hits shots for us. They needed like another knockdown shooter. And
Yeah.
Sturts helped knock Florida out of the tournament when they were one of the favorites because he was a flamethrower. So I think that was a good pick. And I agree with you. I think they're losers in the sense that I think we wanted to talk about this too, is that they didn't consolidate. I truly thought we were going to have a situation where the Thunder hopped into the top 10 because they were going to consolidate their picks. And I feel like they're in the position now where they're going to have to keep getting rid of good players because they either have to give up picks and get rid of potentially good players, or they're going to have to, excuse me, get rid of good players to keep some of these picks. I mean, you saw Aaron Wiggins was a casualty of that, which I mean, he wasn't getting a ton of time by the end of it, but that's a guy that's a rotation player on 29 other teams, and they had to get rid of him because hey, we got two picks in this first round, and I mean, it's widely speculated and talked about that Lou Dort is going to be off this roster and traded
Hmm.
somewhere because they're going to get too expensive, but they also just don't have enough roster spots to keep bringing in all these young guys, which I mean, like I don't feel sorry for them in that sense because they have an embarrassment of riches, but you got to feel like you're losing out somewhat when you're getting rid of like good players that are proven because you have too many picks.
Yeah. Bennett Sturts, I got to give him his credit. He's cold-blooded, man. I checked out his highlights probably a few days before, and I was in my mind what I was thinking was like whoever gets this is going to get someone who's going to be a cold-blooded backup one day. Like I don't see him as a starter. I
Yeah.
don't think he's probably got as much enough athleticism to cover for, to cover him in this league, but I kind of see him as a guy that's going to be like a Colin Gillespie. Like if he finds the right team, he might start. He's got, they're saying he's a high IQ player. They like to throw that around for certain players. You know what I mean? They don't got athleticism and they're a little bit on the paler side. He's a high IQ player, and I'm sure he
Yeah.
is. They're saying he's like a throwback point guard that could shoot, like a Steve Nash type or whatever. Got a decent pick and roll game. So if he finds the right team, I'm sure he's going to be like a longevity backup guy somewhere or whatever. And I'm happy that the Thunder got him. They'll be able to use him. It's just unfortunate that like these high octane players aren't actually going to get to see the floor. Like the chances he gets to see the floor are like it's a long shot, and then the chances of Nikola Topic is like as long as he's in a Thunder uniform, he's not going to see the floor. And you got to respect Sam Presti for doing what he's doing, but I'm going through the lineup. But they already got rid of Wiggins. Dort is probably gone, but we just got to count them for now. Shea 1, Dort 2, J Dub 3, Chet 4, Hart 5, AJ Mitchell 6, Jerry McCain 7, Cason Wallace 8, Alex Caruso 9, Jalen Williams 10, and then you go Kenrich Williams, Isaiah Joe. That's 12 players right there that got minutes, that got minutes last year, at some point. After after those 12 people, then you gotta go Ade Mara, Bennett Sturts, Nikola Topic, Thomas Sorber, um, and then they got some other first, late first round and second round picks on there. It's just like something's gotta give, man. Y'all gotta share the wealth. So, you know, Sam could do whatever he wants to do. I'm just saying all these players that are lobbying to not go certain places, this might be one of those places that you don't want to go. Like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It's great being a champion from the bench if you guys could get that far, but that ring don't mean nothing to you. They didn't give no extra credit to Patrick McCaw for getting 3 rings in a row on the bench. Like you don't get extra credit to do that. So,
Yeah.
shout out to the
I'll
the
say
Thunder. I just feel for the backups.
I'll say really quick too. I think it is that case of we are getting into a league where if we're going to be playing 82 games a year, it's not enough to probably have 7 guys anymore because as the league gets faster, as guys play more, like you are going to need 8, 9, 10 guys deep of a rotation.
Yeah.
Playoffs, obviously rotations get shorter, but again, the Thunder, they just have when you're getting rid of starters or guys that have played and contributed championship level teams because you don't have enough roster spots, to me, that's where it's like, all right, like there's a that's a problem, obviously for the rich, but it's still a
Mhm.
problem nonetheless.
Yeah, fair enough. And like guys like Caruso, he'll sacrifice during the regular season. He'll sit out games. He'll play 20 minutes, save it for the playoffs. But if you're Cason Wallace and Jalen Williams and Jared McCain, you're playing for your next contract. It's like, yo, I got to get more than 20 minutes out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. For
So
sure. For
my
sure.
favorite guy on that team is Cason Wallace for sure. I think he's going to be the next dude to make a step up. But then you still got AJ Mitchell as well. So I think those are like the priority next year. So we'll see what happens. But they had Thunder ran the table, man. Great draft for the picks that they did have.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Obviously.
yeah, if you've heard this podcast, if you've been listening with us and sitting in, then you should already know who my winner is tonight. It is the freaking Jazz, man. They got the best prospect of the draft in Darren Peterson. And guess what? All right, I'm not even going to go into any no bashing of AJ DeBonsa. I'm happy he went first. The biggest thing about this to me is the fit. Like the Jazz needed a shooting guard. Ace Bailey could be that dude, but in terms of all the other positions, they have borderline all-stars for all the positions. I think that's the biggest thing that people are missing is like the Jazz are benefiting from this. They got Keontae George at the point guard, dropping 24 and dang near 8 last year. You got Larry Markkinen, who's been an all-star once or twice already at small forward, JJJ, who's been DPOY and an all-star twice. And then you got Walker Kessler, who when he plays is probably on a short list of the best defensive big men. And if he's kind of in that Rudy Gobert lane, you could kind of assess him as a borderline all-star at his best. And you fill it with the best shooting guard in this draft with Darren Peterson. Like I genuinely think the Jazz are one of the deepest teams in the league. Like I'm saying like top 7 deepest teams in the league. And yeah, everyone's probably gonna make fun of that take because they've been intentionally losing for the last, 3, 4 years, but it's paid off. It's time. Will Hardy's a good coach when he wants to coach, when he wants to play his guys, they freaking win. And now they got like a probably like a good 9, 10 man squad. Like even Isaiah Collier, I think he's probably
Yeah.
gonna be in the running for 6 man of the year. I think he's one of the best secondary point guards in the game. You got Ace Bailey coming off the bench. Kyle Filipowski's not a bad backup center. Like I'll slow down right there, but what are your thoughts?
I agree. I think, yeah, I was just looking at Isaiah Collier's stats because I was like, yeah, we forget he got what I think 18 assists in a game this year, but he only played 59 games, but he played 25 minutes a game and averaged 7 assists. So that's really impressive for a backup point guard.
If you
So
remember in that draft, he like at the beginning of the year, he was supposed to be like a top
yeah,
10, top 15
yeah,
pick before was it USC started sucking.
yeah. He was Bronny was the one that got talked about the most out of the name, but he was the prize recruit out of that class for them, and he was McDonald's All-American. Like he was that dude and was ranked as one of the best players coming out of that class for sure. So I agree. I think they will be hovering between top of the play-in,
Hmm.
borderline, just a solidified top six seed next
Yeah.
year because it's not guys that like you're throwing. Yes, you're throwing Darren Peterson in there, and I think he's a guy that's gonna, if if given the opportunity, I think he's capable of going in and immediately averaging 20 on whatever team he steps onto. But I think
Facts.
this team is so deep that he may only average 17 to 18 points a game, but he's going to be able to do it efficiently because he's around so many good players. And
Hmm.
I think you're walking into guys that now, if they're allowed to blossom, they're going to be at the point in their careers where they're like, we're ready to win. We're maybe willing to sacrifice some numbers. Like I think Lowry would be willing to sacrifice
Lowry,
some of his numbers to
JJJ.
win.
Facts.
Triple J would be willing to sacrifice some of his numbers. Walker Kessel's going to get paid. Remains to be seen. Sounds like the Jazz are going to pay him, but once he gets paid, I think he's going to be like, all right, now I can just play ball. And Keontae George isn't at that point yet, so he may be the one that I won't say he's a malcontent, but he also showed that he leveled up quite a bit last year. So
Yeah.
I agree. I think it was an easy pick, but Danny Ainge finally they finally benefited from years and years of tanking. It's kind of coming to fruition, and I I had higher hopes for Ace Bailey coming out of college. He's
Yeah.
still young. He still has to mature, but if he's able to be a if he's able to be like a Brandon Miller type eventually, then cool. But he can come off the bench, play a role, and be a gunner, and still be um, additive to this team and not subtractive. So I definitely like what they did with the draft.
Yeah. If it were another coach, like I would feel like maybe there wouldn't be enough shots for everybody. But Will Hardy's he's super creative on offense. Like even I mean he got Jordan Clarkson paid just what a couple years ago. He got Mike Conley, a second part of his career. Like Mike Conley's already a great teammate, but he made Mike Conley look really good in his last few years. And the frustrating part is that like I've been hearing a lot of takes where people are like, "Oh, are they going to trade Lowry or who are they going to trade to?" Like why? Like like why would they trade him now? I'm not liking those takes. It's like if anything, the finals showed us in the conference finals that you need dang near everybody on the squad to be able to get a good look. Like you need multiple ball handlers. Like you want freaking Darren Peterson to be able to handle the rock a little bit. You want Keontae George to handle it a little bit. You want Isaiah Collier. Like why wouldn't you want this much talent? And they're going to be fine. They're going to have three guys paid in the rest on rookie scale contracts for now. So there's no reason to freaking trade anybody. So I'm not with the takes. But going back to kind of this little AJ DeBancer rivalry and with Darren Peterson, I already know who Darius would take, but who do you think will have a better record next season, the Wizards or the Jazz?
The Jazz, I think they're a better team. I think the East is easier, but Trae Young played what 10 games last year. Anthony
Right.
Davis played 20. I think it was an anomaly for Trae, but it's not an anomaly for AD, and they're going to depend heavily on him. And those are the only two guys on their team that have ever been a part of any type of winning culture. Triple J's been a part of a winning culture at least. Lowry has competed for playoff spots before. So as tough as the West is, I still think the Jazz are going to end up with a better record.
Yeah, and part of my answer is because I don't know if uh Anthony Davis is bought in yet. You could tell Trey's bought in. He's been saying he only wanted to go to the Wizards in trade. He got his contract. Like he's calling AJ to Bansa. But like, what if AD shows up to training camp like he did this past year, fat, out of shape, and then gets injured again? So I feel like it's a wait and see. Like, is AD really going to be bought in on these Wizards, or is he just trying to get out to the next contender? And Darius, his take was that the Wizards are going to be in the playoffs this year, and he said that before the trade take. He said that before the trade, and he said that before we knew the Wizards were going to be the first pick. So it's a good take from him. Um, but I'm still not on board that they're even going to make the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to even make the top eight. I can see them kind of back of the play in. I think AJ is going to end up being a good player. I just don't know if this first year is going to be as efficient you want as you want it to be. So Trey's going to hook him up. I'm just not bought in on 80. It's really the Anthony Davis part, and Sarr is going to be coming off a broken foot and all that. So it's not any smut on the Wizards, but it's I think the professionalism and the culture that they have set with Will Hardy over there is just going to they're going to turn it around a lot quicker. So.
Yep, that's a fair take. All right, well, let's go ahead and hop into our losers. Marcus, go ahead and give us your big loser for the draft.
Bro, it's got to be the Nets, man. And I like this Mikael Brown Jr. I hope to God, for the Nets' sake, this dude is like a straight bucket. I went back, watched his 48-point game. I saw his interview after the draft. He called himself a basketball savant, very well spoken, a heck of a shooter. And when you're watching the game, he's just got that feel. He understands how to use picks, off-ball screens, all that kind of stuff. But the Nets intentionally went out of their way last year to get as many playmakers and guys that could bring up the ball and pass the ball when it comes from the center position, when it comes from the off guard position with Igor Denman, and then they drafted like two other point guards. And they had the opportunity to draft the point guard in this draft. Why am I tripping off his name right now?
Darius Acuff.
Darius Acuff Jr. They had the opportunity to do it and they passed up on it. And I don't know if it's because maybe Darius's camp was sending signals to go to the Kings, but it's like the Jazz. I don't care what you want. Like if we want you, we're gonna bring you here. We control the next 7 years. So to me, I think Darius Acuff is going to be a legit star. And if he just shines a little bit brighter than Mikael Brown Jr., that's an L to me. And as far as we know right now, he's going to be the brighter star. So I thought it was a straight up miss. I thought Mikael could have gone to the Sacramento Kings, and it would have been fine. So that's where the L is for me.
Yeah, I think even taking into consideration Acuff was probably viewed as the higher prospect. I think Mikael Brown Jr. is could be a really good player, but considering the Knicks just won the championship, the Nets need something to like hold on to and need something to feel like, all right, we're not New York's team, but maybe let's try to be Brooklyn's team.
Yeah,
And Darius Acuff is a star coming out of college. Mikael Brown Jr. is one of those dudes where you got to watch the tape and you got to know ball to know who this guy is and have an appreciation for him. Where
yeah,
Darius Acuff already had to deal with Reebok coming in, already kind of being compared to AI,
yeah,
rocks
yeah,
rocks the Buffs. Like if you're the Nets, I go back to what I said when my Call Me Crazy a few months ago. Like your jerseys are black and white, and when they first did that, it was almost like they tried to make it cool. Like, hey, we're black and white. Like we're like
hmm
we're setting the culture. But they need to go back to the Coogee look because they need to add some personality to this team. And I feel like even if even if you view these guys as equal, Acuff is probably the more marketable guy coming into the league that you can kind of he's going to sell season tickets. He's going to be a guy that fans can get behind more than, hey, Here's Mikael Brown Jr. But then I think about even from a talent standpoint, again, A Cuff was viewed as the higher prospect. You got plenty of guards. If you weren't going to draft a guard and maybe pivot, that's one thing. You're probably reaching if you draft anybody else but a guard within those picks.
Yeah,
But I almost would have respected it more if they traded back and say with the Mavericks to for the Mavericks to jump up and then
or
maybe go snag Linda. I'm just thinking of
yeah,
who
yeah.
below them was whispered about, whether it's the Mavericks or the Thunder, knowing they had a need for a guard. Like, hey, let's see if we can get one of these teams to trade up if we don't want to draft a
Take A
guard and we
Cup.
want to draft a forward.
Right.
But if you're drafting a guard, draft the best one on the board. Don't try to get cute. And I feel like they tried to get cute and overthink it.
Yeah, I mean, like it really has to be Mikel just has to be the straight up. It can't be equal. Like it's a loss if these guys turn out being a equal level of player. If Mikel ends up being the better player, for sure. If not, it's just the L. And I keep going back to what you guys brought up, which I can't believe still that the was it the Liberty, they have more
Almost
fans
outsold,
on
yeah,
average
almost
attendance
by like a
than
couple
the
hundred.
than the Nets. That's insane to me. Like, yo, bring in a star. And you see Stephen A took your take, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just yes, I think it was this morning he was saying the Brooklyn Nets need to move or whatever. I promise you, man, these big media people, they just tune in a small guy's podcast, and then they take our takes, and that's how they go. It all makes sense to me now. Stephen A. don't prepare. He listens to a couple different podcasts. He says, I'm gonna take that. They're not gonna be able to say it wasn't me anyway. So, but yeah, man. Frustrated about it, but after watching Mikel Brown Jr., I'm a fan. I'm just hoping that both these guys end up becoming dogs next year. Next year, like right away. So, and
Yeah.
Darius brought up, he's like, well, they're gonna have Julius Randle and MPJ. There's not gonna be a lot of shots available for Darius A. Cup. My thing is, what Brooklyn Nets are doing with the whole Randall thing is they're trying to rehab him. Take them, try to make them look good, send them back out to get more picks. It's like the typical OKC thing from back when they sucked is take on some bad contracts, rehab them, send them back out, get some picks and all that kind of stuff. Randall's not there long term. Or
Yeah. They were
he's
trying to
not
do
a
the same
part.
thing with MPJ, but he was a little
Yeah,
bit too good. And they were like, oh, we might want to keep this guy
we
because
might
he's
want to
actually
keep
still
him.
kind of young.
Uh, not
And his contract isn't as bad as it looked like it was a couple years ago.
Yeah, he's not part of the long-term plan, is what I'm saying. He might be there
Yeah.
his next 2 years. He's just not part of the plan. It don't really matter.
Yeah, for sure. And like I joked about in our group text, I said Julius Randle's wife a year ago when they got traded from, or no, 2 years ago now, it's crazy. When they got traded from the Knicks, she was like, "Oh, we're so happy to be in Minnesota. We're so happy to be out in New York." And they said, "Sending you right back, and not Manhattan. We're gonna send you to the island."
Bro, every time they people open their mouth, it's like Dennis Schroeder talking about getting traded like Flavor, and then he got traded like two more times. Like, just shut up.
Yeah. The crazy part about the Nets is they literally play in New York City. Like Brooklyn is a poppin' place. Like it's even more poppin' than saying you're the Yankees playing in the Bronx. But because their culture around their team is so bad, it's almost like it doesn't even matter where they play. Like they could literally play like further out in Long Island, or they could play South Jersey and
Yeah.
probably be more relevant with their own culture. But so it's sad to see. So I definitely agree they were a loser in this draft. But I'm going to say my biggest loser from this draft is Milwaukee,
Okay.
and I think it goes back to the trade. I think um, if you are going to trade Giannis, I feel like you got to get a blue chipper, and yes, that could mean trade for Jaylen Brown or figure out how to trade for Jaylen Brown, but then flip him for more picks from another team. And I know that the picks that they got outside of this 13th pick last night aren't spoken for. But I just feel like if you're trading Giannis, you got to give me a pick that's guaranteed to be better than 13. Like I need a top 10 pick at least,
Who'd they
or I
get?
have to
Blake
have some
Burrows?
type
Was
of
that the
plan.
first one they got?
That was their own pick. The pick that they got Nate Ament from with the 13th pick from Miami.
Yeah, I actually
So
liked it a little bit. Go ahead.
yeah, I feel like he's a guy that you're drafting like largely on potential. And I feel like if you're trading Giannis, like yeah, if you're going with draft picks, you're going based off a lot of potential. I would almost prefer seeing them get like more guaranteed first round picks further out than hey, here's the 13th pick this year. Because by the time you get to 13, you're just kind of hoping and praying that the guy that you want is actually still there. And yeah, you're going to target certain guys that fall within that range. I just feel like if you're trading a star like Giannis, I either need a top 10 pick or I need multiple first round picks a few years out that can turn into something in another trade, or maybe one of the ping pong balls gets lucky. So I feel like they're a loser, and not that I hate Nate Ament, but I just think you're losing a top guaranteed top four player next year for somebody that maybe is going to be a rotation like core piece in the future, not even a hey, this is like a 1A or a 1B or a 2A or a 2B, but maybe this guy is like our third or our fourth best player
Yeah, I
eventually.
the reason I liked it is because they were projected to take Amen, is that his name?
Yeah, Nate Ament.
Nate Amen. They were projected to take him at 10, and then they got Burrows or I think that's how you say
Brandon
his
Burry,
name.
Brandon Burry's with the
Brandon
eighth pick
Burries. And
or
then they
ninth
end
pick,
up
sorry.
circling back and still getting Nate Mint at the 15 at the Miami pick. So I was like, all right, they still got their
No,
project
they
guy.
got Braden Burry's at 10, but then they got Nate Ament at 13.
Okay, at 13, right. So they were projected to get Nate Mint at 10, and then they end up taking him at 13. So they still got their guy that is kind of viewed as for them, it's kind of like the next Giannis. This is a project. He's got all the crazy length aspects and all that kind of stuff, but it's going to take some time for him to progress or whatever. So he could end up turning out like Patrick Williams and become nothing, but at least you didn't waste the top four pick on him. It's kind of how I feel about it. It's like, all right, they're taking a big swing, a high risk at 13, and to me that's not too bad. They got a bunch of young players over there already. Well, I wouldn't say young players. Well, yeah, Jasperis, Kasparis, from the Heat. They got
Yeah,
a
from
bunch
Illinois,
of
yeah.
rotational young players, and then the next time they end up getting those Heat draft picks or when Giannis is in his mid-30s. So I think it fared decently well. I see a lot of the guys that Burrows, Braden Burrows, is that how you say his name?
Braden Burry's
Braden
Burry's.
Burries. It's gonna be a tough time, man. They got some names on them, bro. They got some names on them. It's gonna be a. I think a lot of these guys are gonna develop into role players, and then hopefully, uh, they could be. They could trade them later on. Essentially, like I'm not looking at who they have right now as the core of their team. It's like, all right, develop them and then trade them later down the road. So I thought it was decent. I thought Milwaukee was decent. Um,
Yeah, I just think it's not even an indictment on Nate Ament. I just think if I'm trading for a pick in this year's draft, I want a top 10 pick. So if that had been, hey, let's trade 10 and 13 up to 7 or 6 and go get Darius A cup, I would have felt a lot better about it than, hey, here's the 13th pick this year and
you think
we'll get Giannis.
would it be better to have the 13th pick in this draft or the second or fourth pick in next year's draft or something like that? A top five pick
I don't know.
in
I don't know how.
next
I don't
year's
know how it's
draft.
going to play out, but give me a top five pick still. Like I know next year's draft isn't going to be nearly as loaded, but
Yeah.
still give me a top. And many people would probably say Nate Ament would probably be a top five pick in next year's draft, but still, let me take my chances on a top five pick over the number 13 pick any day.
Because I just feel like that was their options. I feel like nobody was trying to give up. I mean, the blue chip prospect was J, Jalen, freaking, it's late, man. Tatum and what? Jalen Brown.
Brown,
Jalen Brown
yeah.
was the freaking blue chip prospect. But as far as it goes, it doesn't seem like anybody was trying to give up any draft picks, any top 8 or 9. Nobody traded into the top 10 of this draft at all. It was like
Yeah.
locked. So I feel
Which
like they
seems
did the best.
which you would think would happen more often, but it doesn't happen very often. I mean, the Nets tried it last year in a relatively top heavy draft and
Yeah.
couldn't do it. And they had 5 first round picks. And we were like, when are we going to get that Nets notification that they traded 5 of these picks for a top 3 or top 4 pick? And it never happened. They drafted all 5.
Yeah, the only team that traded up last year significantly was freaking the
Yeah,
Pelicans, gave up their eighth
yeah,
pick in this draft. We'll
yeah,
see how that goes.
yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk about how we're feeling about our own teams. Let's maybe give like a 2 minute take on how we're feeling about the Bulls, and then I'll give like a 2 minute take on how I'm feeling about the Mavs. And we won't respond to it. We'll just say, hey, here's how I feel about my team. And you
Bro,
can speak for Darius too.
yeah. For the listeners, I'm from Chicago, born and bred, Chicago fan all my life. If you've been following, you know the pain that we've gone through. My group chats were blowing up. We got the pick right. We got Caleb Williams for the Bears, and we got Caleb Wilson for the Bulls. I called my mom. I said it's easy. Just change the last name. Like we are lit. I gotta pay attention to Swain. Sounds like he's good. The only issue here is the Bulls have no shooting. Josh Giddey's gonna be our best shooter on the floor. I mean, Modest Buzelis wasn't looked at as a shooter. He's gonna be our best shooter on the floor. Like Swain, if he cracks the rotation this year, not really a shooter. He's got a slow jump shot, but he seems like an effective player. Caleb Wilson, not a shooter, maybe a mid-range and maybe develops later on, but not a shooter. Maybe closer to more of a Maury Stoudemire type player. Nick Claxton, absolutely not a shooter. It's just more so going to be fun. I keep saying it's going to be like Lob City Part Two. Caleb, Modest, Claxton, just getting passes from Josh Giddey all season. I can actually watch my team on League Pass this year and just feel excited about it. We're gonna lose a lot. We're still gonna suck. There's no doubt about it. But it will actually be fun to watch on NBA League Pass. And we got some players that to be excited about. So we didn't mess up the draft. That's all I got on that.
Yeah, you got something you can at least build around. Like the Mavericks sucked last year, but they at least had something I could feel better about after they made the worst trade in NBA history. But as far as the Mavericks from Dallas, Mavericks fan, um, I'm talking myself into feeling better about it.
Yeah.
Um, I think I went to bed thinking they drafted Pete with their last pick, but they actually got the Lakers pick, Sergio Delaria, so a guy out of Spain. Seemed like he's solid, but you can make anybody look good with a 2 minute highlight clip. So need to do a little
Hmm.
bit of digging there. But from what I hear, I mean, he's a solid player and he's actually going to get some real minutes and play over here because it was a question of whether he would even play his first year here or whether he would stay in Spain. Sounds like he's going to come over to America and play. Morez Johnson, I mean, the again, you can talk yourself in anything. I feel like the more stuff that I hear about him, the more I do I like the pick, but I
Uh-huh.
don't like how high they drafted him. I feel like if they traded back with OKC and got 12 and 17, if they
Hmm.
drafted him at 12, I would feel a lot better about it than drafting him at 9.
Was he the consensus top guy from Michigan? Like all those guys went pretty close together. Was he the consensus best player?
He climbed up the most late.
Okay.
Like before the draft combine, he was a first round pick,
Hmm.
not in the lottery. The last couple of weeks, like I started hearing his name more and more around like 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
This last week or so, it felt like he really started being like chattered about. And then obviously the couple days before the draft, it was like, all right, he's probably going to be in the top 10. And it sounded like the Mavericks drafted him at 9 because there were multiple teams, at least whether it was smoke or not, that were saying we're going to draft this guy at 10 if we can get into the top 10. So I think he's not going to be the most talented guy. There's more talented guys. I think like Nate Ament probably has a higher talent ceiling. Braden Burries may have a higher talent ceiling than what he has, but it sounds like he's really going to be a big culture fit and somebody that fits next to Coop as, hey, you're the one. He's not going to be the two, but he's going to be that guy that if we're making deep playoff runs, you're going to say like this is a guy that's absolutely crucial to like the culture, but
Hmm.
our practice habits every day. It sounded like he was like their leader that brought it every day with practice and made dudes work hard and held people accountable. Mavericks need something like that. So whether you use a top 9 pick on that, I don't know. But I'm gonna I'm gonna trust Masai as long as I can, that they know what they're
But
doing.
was it really Masai though? It sounds like it was just the coach's bias pick. That would be the only thing that bothered me if I was a Mavs fan. It's like you're not really giving a chance to the other prospects simply because this is as biased as it comes. He just won a
Consider,
championship with them.
I think you're right, but considering 3 of the next 4 picks were all Michigan dudes,
Hmm.
like Morez Johnson went 9, Yaxel went 11, Ademar went 12.
Yeah,
Braden Burries is the only one, like he was the one that was kind of consistently slotted for the Mavericks.
yeah,
He would have been a good fit, but if you're going to draft one of the Michigan guys, who better to draft them to know which guy is going to fit that team better than coach that coached him. So I hear
fair
what you're
enough.
saying. I think I agree. Like, of course we're going to draft a Michigan guy, but if I'm talking myself into it, I would give him a B minus as far as the draft.
See, that's that's the kind of trust I want to have in my organization. That type of trust right there. Because if it was 50-50, I'd be like, absolutely not with the Bulls. But me and Darius are hoping that we've switched, we switched management. Like it's a new day that we can have that kind of trust in our organization. Masai, he's definitely earned it. The Mavs, for the most part, have earned it outside of the last couple Luka and Brunson moves. But draft wise, they've always been pretty solid. So
Yeah, and it's a new regime. I mean, if I'm a Bulls fan, I'm coming out of yesterday and to in this, well, 2 days ago now, with feeling like it's an A.
yeah.
Caleb Wilson alone would make me feel like it's an A. If it's Cooper last year, hey, A plus. This year again, it leaves some room to be desired. So I'm gonna trust it that they know what they're doing for now,
Hmm.
and give it a B minus. So
Yeah, a couple quick shout outs real quick is Viva la Mexico. I was getting worried Kareem Lopez wasn't going to get drafted in the first round after they made that big old deal about him being the first one from Mexico in history, and then the Pistons end up drafting him and trading him to the Grizz. I don't know if you saw, he didn't even realize that he was
yeah,
traded to the
yeah, he was
Grizz, but
traded. Yeah, they heard him in his earpiece.
yeah, but that's a cool thing, man. That's just a cool tidbit, especially with Mexico in the World Cup right now, killing it and all that kind of stuff. Good timing for him. That's gonna be fun. And then Cameron Carr, man. I know Luka's your guy, big fan as well. I didn't realize he had hops. I knew he was a shooter. And then they started comparing him to Derrick Jones Jr. type hops, and how well Luka's gonna make him look. He got drafted and traded to the Lakers, so I thought that was another quick side guy that um might be in the rotation a lot quicker than we think.
Yeah, if I'm a Lakers fan, I'm seriously starting to question, like, do they know what they're doing? Like Rob
You
Pelinka's
didn't?
gotten lucky. If you're not with the Carr pick was a good pick, but
Okay.
I'm like, if you're re-signing Austin Reeves for what you signed him for, and you're drafting this guy, like, what
Hmm.
is the plan? Like, what are we doing? Like, we've had Luka for a year and a half, and I don't feel like we're any closer to a championship than we were when we first got him. Like,
Bro,
I feel like Rob Pelinka's been gift wrapped a few. LeBron was coming there regardless.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
knew he was recruiting somebody to
AD
come
forced his
alongside
way
him.
over all that, yeah.
Yeah. And then Luca was a Christmas present, a late Christmas present. So I just feel like Rob Pelinka is a little over, and he's probably properly rated because I don't think anybody's super thrilled about him. But if I'm Luca, you're on the clock with me.
Yeah, well, Lucas said he needs a center and shooting. So they drafted shooting with Carr, and we'll see if they end up getting a center here. I think LeBron will end up re-signing, and they had to pay Austin Reeves at minimum just to retain the asset. So um, we'll see. I think he's done a
Yeah.
decent job, but this summer is really going to be the test.
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting paid, let's go ahead and get into our make them say, huh, of the week. So give me what you got.
Yeah, man. Trey, I don't know who, bro. I have no idea. I wish Darius was here so he could defend this. I don't know who the Wizards were competing against. And they I don't think it was one of those things where they're like, Trey, go find us someone who's going to actually give you this money, or else we're not giving you $200 million. No, no, I think they just were like, hey, we traded for you. We want you. We want to make you feel loved. Um, but not 52, $53 million a year loved. Couldn't you show him you loved him with 47 million a year? Couldn't you show him you love him with about 45? What I like about Trey is he's completely like turned into the leader of the franchise. I said it earlier, like he's on board. He's recruiting. He's talking his stuff. He's saying, "What if the Wizards are number one next year?" Like he's got the personality. He's got the leadership traits. I like all that. It's just not worth 53 million a year. And if I'm a Wizards fan, I'm just thinking like, yeah, we got lucky with AJ DeBanza, but we shot ourselves in the foot with this deal. So
2 weeks ago, we would probably say that one of the worst contracts, maybe the worst contract in the league, was De'Aaron Fox.
facts.
And the Wizards turned around and said, "Hold my beer." De'Aaron Fox's contract just got a little bit more tradable with this Trae Young contract. I don't think it's tradable, but I think it became a little bit more tradable by seeing what Trae Young got. And again, I don't know who they were bidding against. Like they basically were bidding against themselves, and they were in a room with the guy that's doing a 59 now, 50, 45 now, 45 over here. 40. They were the
Yeah,
only dude in the room negotiating that contract, and they were the only ones raising their hand, and they kept raising their hand to bid higher. So yeah, I like Trae Young. He's a good player, but if you have him on your team with the deficiencies that he has as a player, you have to sign him to a contract that maybe eventually allows us to trade him. And I feel like they basically gave him the equivalent of like a poison pill contract, where good luck trading this, regardless of where we're at, unless a team gets unless the Kings trade Darius Acuff and decide they want Trae Young. Like how are we getting rid of this contract? Basically, is how I feel.
yeah, this is how tough that contract is. I was trying to, do my annual like I try to guess who's going to be on the All-Star team the next season, and Trey was about 5 or 6 spots down my list in the East of guys I thought would make the Eastern All-Star team this coming year. He's made like 2 or 3 All-Star teams. He's been a sub maybe 2 times on the All-Star team. Maybe he's made more than that, but in recent years he's barely made the All-Star team. Um, and you're willingly giving that guy about 200 million. So I'm a Trey fan in theory. Um, but when you drop these kind of contracts right after you saw what's going on with Fox, it's hard to justify it. So, like I said, I like him as a leader. It's just a lot of deficiencies. So we'll just put it that way.
Yep. Yeah, well, my make him say huh this week is going to be Tom Dundon. Way to spoil the fun, Mr. Cheapskate. That's how I
Yeah,
feel.
I
He
have no
uh
idea who that is.
he's the Blazers owner. He got rid of a did Tiago Splitter win Coach of the Year?
No, no, no.
No, it was Mitch Johnson, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, but Tiago Splitter had to have been up there. Maybe no, was it Joe
was it
Mazzulla?
Missoula?
Yeah, it might have been Missoula. So hey, one of those three guys, those three guys probably were near the top of the running.
Yeah,
I think it was Missoula, but Tiago Splitter took over an almost impossible situation to take over and led that team to a playoff berth. So he already earned, he is in Dundon already earned the disdain of the fans based off letting that guy walk. But not only did he let that guy walk, he then brings the lead assistant from the Timberwolves over. And coaches these days like are getting paid all types of money. Like, I mean, Monty Williams is a bad example, but he got paid $20 million to be the coach at Detroit. They basically money whipped him until he said yes.
that's freaking
And
stupid.
so you got guys getting paid 10, $15 million a year. So you don't have to pay that to a first time head coach. But you give the guy a guaranteed contract. If you're signing the guy for 3 years, these 3 years are guaranteed. And we're going to fire you at any point, but we're going to pay you your money if you don't make it all 3 years. This man literally has a year to year. They put him on scholarship, is essentially what they did. They said, we're going to give you a 3 year deal, but every single year is renewable. So he's only got one guaranteed year of money. And then he goes, and if he makes it to the second year, only that second year is guaranteed. And then the team has to pick up the option for the third year. So JB Bickerstaff came out and said that this was a slap in the face.
Yeah.
I don't think he meant that as a slight to Micah Nori. I think he meant that as in we're going to go down a dangerous road if this is going to be the precedent that gets set. But it's definitely making me say, huh, this week with Tom Dundon. I know he owns the Carolina Hurricanes and they just won a Stanley Cup. So hey, maybe he knows more than I do, but it's just a bad look. Like don't buy a team and then be cheap.
That this dude thinks he's the money ball of the NBA. Like he thinks he's figured something out, that nobody else knows. And
But would you
obviously
want your
winning.
team, would you want your owner to be known as like, I'm the Moneyball dude, or do you want him to be like a Mark Cuban or a Steve Ballmer, like I'm gonna spend whatever it takes?
So you remember this kind of feels like when the Bulls hired a coach named Jim Boylan, and he thought it was so
Yeah.
smart to have his players literally like clock in, clock out. He had like
Yeah.
Zach LaVine clocking in, clocking out. And unfortunately, it just turned into a dumb and terrible culture. Like these guys are not like we're taking care of our bodies. We're coming in at different times, getting extra shots up. Like what you thought this was going to be is not what it turned out to be, and that's what this situation feels like. Winning gives you irrational confidence. So it sounds like he's won in hockey. So he's bringing that irrational confidence to basketball. So it'll last a couple years. It's definitely like a make them say, huh, type of moment. So I just hope whoever this coach is, I've never heard of him, don't have any background. I hope if anything, while it's embarrassing, it serves as kind of like a trampoline to his career, man, until this whole thing is over. And real quick, the news just came in the last hour, and I don't know if you saw, Mike, but they're talking about the Hornets are talking about shopping LaMelo.
I did see that. Yeah. It's
That's kind of out of nowhere.
yeah, definitely. We rewind 365 days ago, not as surprising, but coming off the year they just had, it's pretty surprising that he's on the trade block considering yes, Con Knipple was a big piece of what they did. Brandon Miller was a big piece of what they did, but it felt like LaMelo had finally kind of turned the corner this year. So I was shocked by that one.
Yeah, he's definitely the connector. All I'll say is that if they do end up trading him in these next 48 hours, it better be for like a real player, like a real guy, not just
Yeah.
picks.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
as good of shooters as Brandon Miller and Con are, when LaMelo wasn't on the floor with them last year, they were a pretty trash offense. When he was on the floor, these guys were the three out of the top 20 shooters in the league. And if you're going by analytics, they were analytically winning a lot of games. They analytically made it to the playoffs last year. So
Yeah. You sound like you, you sound
yeah.
like Kenny Atkinson.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going
Analytically,
for.
we should be up 3-1.
Analytically, they made it out the second round. So
Well, well, in reality, you got your whooped. So I don't care what the analytics say, but I feel what you're saying. But yeah, would be shocking if we come on this pod back again on July 12th and LaMelo is on a different team. Would be more surprising if we had not heard about it before, but the fact that it's even a rumor and being rumored about is surprising. So let's end the pod by giving maybe, and this is on the spot for our
hmm
listeners, so this may take a second, but give me one bold prediction that's going to happen by the time we pod again.
Oh man. So I don't want to give into the Lamelo trade talk. So I think my bold prediction is that it's going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're going to make a big trade. If LaMelo's not going to the Wolves, then the Wolves are going to get a big fish here in these next 2 weeks. So
I don't know how bold this one is, but it's a big name, and I'm going to say Jaylen Brown is going to be traded by the time we get back on the pod.
hey man, for his sake, I hope he is.
Same. I know the grass, you said the grass isn't always greener, but at this point, it just kind of feels like, hey, I was listening to Freddie Coleman and Harry Douglas. It was actually David Dennis was on the pod or their radio show, and his argument was, I understand why you maybe bring up Jaylen Brown's name in
Yeah.
trades, but why is it always Jaylen Brown, and why
Why?
is it
Yeah.
never
Why?
Jason
Never
Tatum?
Tatum.
It's
Who
never
was Tatum?
Tatum. It's never
Nah.
Tatum. And Freddie Coleman was basically like, I hear what you're saying, but to me, what it says is Boston believes that Jason Tatum is the face of that organization more than they believe it is Jaylen Brown. Whether he agrees with it or not, whether I agree with it or not, it's clear that that's what Boston believes. But I also do agree. Hey, it's Jason Tatum is the one coming off a torn Achilles. Like I personally do think Jason Tatum is the better player,
Yeah.
but if you're trading one of them, it would make more sense to trade Jason Tatum coming off an Achilles. And if you want Giannis so bad, why not throw Jason Tatum's name in the trade?
The biggest thing that pissed me off about this whole situation is Brad Stevens came out yesterday and did his draft conference and said, "Oh, I believe Jaylen Brown is going to be on the team." And then hours later, it said Jaylen Brown is in trade talks again.
Yeah. And honestly, if you're going to bring Giannis on the team, like personality wise, it seems like he would mesh a lot better with Jaylen
Yeah,
Brown
a
than
little bit
Jason
more
Tatum.
killer in him.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I'll be excited to get back to it in about couple weeks here. Wish me luck. I'm gonna try to get on the Philippines basketball courts. I don't want to come back taking L's from Asians, so um, I'll probably try to get some footage out there. If I win, I might put it on our YouTube channel. If I don't win, you won't hear about it.
Yeah. Well, as always, again, we got two-thirds of the triumvirate here tonight, but always like, rate, subscribe, review. Give us your crazy takes of the week, even though we didn't do our Call Me Crazy, but give us your maybe your draft winners, your draft losers, and then maybe those things that maybe scratched your head and make you say, huh, this week. So without further ado, it is now 1:15 a.m. We got early wake-up calls tomorrow. It's been real, but as always, float on.
Peace.